I'm Dr. Deb Butler, and you are listening to Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. This is episode number 445. Welcome to Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. If you're a woman and you're smart and you're successful and you've been struggling with weight your whole life, and now menopause is making it harder than ever, and you are ready to make this the last time you ever have to go on a diet again, then this podcast is for you. Stay tuned. Well, hello, all my dear friends all over the world. As fall is coming in, which creates a lot of joy for me because I like fall. I like the weather. I love the colors. I love to be able to walk in it. So I have a lot of thinking about fall that makes me feel good. Fall itself doesn't make me feel anything until I think something about it. And our perceptions create all kinds of feelings for us as opposed to actual circumstances. For instance, fall does not create a feeling until I think something about it. I like it, I don't like it. Weather, we can't change it, but only we can change our perception about it. And this podcast over the last 6 or 7 years has been dedicated to perception because it's perception or thinking that creates how you feel. And one of the most important things about perception and thinking is when it comes to food, which is fascinating to me because I've spent 7 years talking to you about food and menopause and peace. And one of the things of how I believe that you can create peace around eating, around your body, around food, is how you think about it. And I know I've spent a lot of time over these last years talking about how I don't like diets and how I believe they've hurt our brains and disconnected us from our own bodies and disconnected us from how things actually feel when we put them in our bodies. But today I actually want to talk about how I think diets have helped. And number one, if you've been dieting your whole life and you've been struggling with weight your whole life, like I did, then I want you to have a heads up because I want you to use what you did as being helpful. I don't want you to look at it as, I should never have done that. I've wasted all this time. I really think the 30 years I spent on diets, specifically Weight Watchers, is that there actually have been some very helpful things that have helped me on my road to connection to my body. And a lot of the concepts that I even come up in this podcast and in Thinner Peace is because of what I've learned. So the problem I have with a diet in particular, any diet, is if it's an external thing and you're trying to use something externally to connect to what's going on to you internally. So for instance, if you're supposed to eat at a certain time and you're not hungry, I don't really think you should eat. Or if there's certain foods that absolutely make you gag, but it's on your diet and you eat it, I don't think you should do that. And I think that if you're still hungry and you're on a diet, I think you really have to look at that hunger to see if it's really physical hunger, if it's something that you really need to attend to, or it's not real physical hunger. Diets don't really answer those questions. It's just a layout and this is what you do and this is how you lose weight, which is the way I spent 30 years. And I'm sure many of you are and have done the same thing. But I want to tell you 2 things that I learned being a lifetime Weight Watcher member that has propelled me and helped me create the Thinner Peace process and why I've created a 2-part masterclass coming up in a couple weeks around the subject. So here's the thing. Usually, a diet usually has foods on it that I may or may not like, but it usually excludes foods that I absolutely think I love and I'm already feeling restricted and deprived because I can't eat them, which it's interesting that because I think I can't eat them, I want them so much more. And I can even remember, I don't know, some diet I was doing where you couldn't eat fruit. You remember there's so many different diets. And I cannot tell you how bad I wanted an apple. I wanted to binge apples because I couldn't have one. All of a sudden, that's all my brain could think about. It's interesting the way the brain works, that when it thinks it can't have something, it actually focuses on it more. And I think that's where a lot of binging comes from. So what I have created in my Thinner Peace process, when I talk about the different types of eating, that there is a type of eating that's called joy eating. And joy eating is usually eating a non-nutritious food that has no nutritious value, a non-nutritious food that doesn't have any value in your body, but it tastes good. So for me, one of those joy foods was, for most of my life, potato chips, specifically Wavy, Lay's potato chips. And I believed with all my heart that whenever I would start my diet or whenever I would go to Weight Watchers, I would get rid of the potato chips. I wouldn't eat potato chips anymore. But boy, as soon as I got my weight off, this lifetime Weight Watcher membership meant that once you got your weight off, you kept it off for a certain time, you were lifetime. But as soon as my weight was off, those potato chips came back every single time. And one of the things I learned when I was in my 50s, just like you, after I got into life coaching, was this idea of, do you know when you're hungry and do you know when you're full? And that's something I never learned from any diet about my own body, is what does my own hunger feel like? What does my own physical hunger feel like? What does my own emotional hunger feel like? What does my own physical fullness feel like? And that was an exploration that took me to the place that I'm talking to you about today, about a certain type of eating called joy eating, which is eating a non-nutritious food that you enjoy a lot, but you eat it bite by bite and you stop the minute that you're done. It's a very mindful process that I've learned a lot from meditating and Buddhism and many of the studies that I've done, is that there is a way to eat these foods and not binge or overeat them or not cause health problems. And since potato chips for me was something that I think I could not control. I either had to eat them all, or I had to destroy them, or I had to throw them in the garbage can. And if I was going to throw them in the garbage can, I had to throw hot water on them first because I knew I'd go back and eat them. And that's all a brain problem. That's a perception problem. But I made it mean that there was really something wrong with me. I felt ashamed. I didn't like my body. And I loved potato chips. But because I saw myself as being fat or overweight, it was something I couldn't eat. And I know a lot of you think the same thing, which is why I've created this 2-part masterclass series coming up October 28th and 29th on peace, food, and menopause. And what it is specifically that I want to work on with you is how to eat a joy eat, how to include all foods in your regime. Now, that does not mean because I say, oh, I'm going to eat potato chips now, that I eat potato chips all the time. I think when you think you can't have potato chips, you think you would eat them all the time. And you think if you see somebody who is eating them, how lucky they are that they can eat them, especially if you see them as being thin, which really doesn't mean anything. But as I was thinking about this, I was thinking about going to Weight Watchers all those years, and their system changed over the years, and they went to a point system. And to be honest, I really don't know how it works anymore since I've been out of the loop for 20 years, which is a godsend in many ways because I thought I could never stop going. And it took me a year to get rid of my Weight Watcher membership card that I would keep in my purse, because I always thought I could depend on it, because I did not believe I could depend on myself. Of course, I can now. And of course, I'm teaching you that now. But I know a lot of you are like that, where you don't feel like you can totally trust yourself. And so I think when you actually know in your heart of hearts that any of those foods that you think are off limits could be on limits. For me, it was potato chips. For you, it may be chocolate chip cookies, or it may be chocolate, or who knows what it is. But whatever it is, what if you believed you could eat it and still lose weight? Because I want to tell you something. You can. The reason those foods cause problems is, number one, they do have problems with the brain, and they do cause a lot of reward and lit up brains that act like it's the best thing that ever happened in the world because you're eating this food and it wants more. And it's really important that you become aware that the brain is like that, but you also have a smarter part of your brain that knows better. And that's called your prefrontal cortex. And that's the part of your brain that is the observer part of your brain. It watches things. It's the meditating part. And you can learn how to use it to your advantage around anything, especially when it comes to non-nutritious foods, or we're going to call them joy foods, that you absolutely could believe that you could eat whatever you want. Because this is what I want to share about Weight Watchers. Once they came to the point system, it wasn't so much a matter of eat this and don't eat that. It was more of a matter of this is how many points you get, and this is the point system. This is what the points are on foods. Now, of course, usually the non-nutritious foods had way extra points than, say, lettuce. Now, I think that's really interesting in a conceptual mind that only wants to get as much food as possible and lose weight, which is what my mindset was for 30 years, is how can I eat a lot, not feel hungry, and lose weight? Because I was so afraid of being hungry more than anything else, and I so wanted to lose weight. And this went on and on all the way up till menopause, and I said there's got to be a different way. So what I want to actually teach you in this master series is how to actually eat potato chips or whatever your food is and still meet your health goals, still lose weight, whatever it is that you want to do, and lose the drama around these foods where it's, of course I can eat them, but do I want them? Which was kind of the concept in Weight Watchers with points. It's where I started to learn that, okay, I get so many points during the day, so if I want to eat potato chips, I could have some, but it's going to take away from how much food I can eat for the day and how many points I get left, right? I don't get as many. But it was a way for me to manipulate this external system to give me those foods that I thought I could never eat. And it started switching my mind around to the belief that I could eat whatever I want, to actually believe I could eat whatever I wanted, but what do I want? And do I want to pay the price of eating it? And I think it's a good concept. And the Weight Watchers system is like when your points are up, you stop eating. So if all you eat is potato chips, you're not going to have that many and you're going to fill up your points and you're not going to be able to get food for the day. That's kind of the concept. But I really realized that I could eat potato chips and still eat a lot of healthy food. And I had to monitor how many potato chips I ate. But I learned that the concept of actually how much does it take to really enjoy a potato chip so that you could stop eating them. Because in my old days, I just didn't believe there was a stopping point. I believe the stopping point was when the bag was empty, or I threw it away, or I dumped it, or I poured something on it. And when I started the process here in Weight Watchers, I started looking at it in a different way. And also in Weight Watchers, in almost any diet, vegetables are like a really good thing. Why? Because they don't usually have a lot of calories or fat, so you can eat more of it. When in reality, of course, you would eat a lot of it because they're really good for you. Your body needs them, and it's the natural way of the body. But if you've been messing around with food your whole life in your body, it becomes a whole different scenario as opposed to you eat vegetables because your body wants them, because they make you feel good and they fill you up, but they also give you a lot of good health values. And potato chips, not so much, but they do taste really, really good. And I started learning how to balance those kind of things when I was dieting. So when it actually came to when I was starting to do coaching and I was working with a weight loss coach, and it was this whole concept of eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full, which is the basic concept of my thinner peace process. Do you know when you're hungry? Do you know when you're full? But also another concept in my thinner peace process is, do you believe that you can eat whatever you want? It's just, what do you really want? Just like in Weight Watchers, you can eat potato chips, but if you eat a lot of them, you're done for the day. Do you really want that many? I mean, it gives your prefrontal cortex something to think about and manage that primal brain of yours that goes crazy over these foods. And of course, food scientists have made these foods to make your brain go crazy. But that crazy part of your brain can be controlled by the smarter part of your brain, which is what my whole thinner peace process is about, is learning how to manage that part of your brain. So in this 2-part series, Menopause, Peace, and Food, I am specifically going to spend 2 days with you teaching you how to actually eat a joy eat and calm down, how to take the drama out of it, and how to make it just be potato chips. It's not bad. It's not good. They taste good. I can have some. I can stop. Or do I even want to have some? Is that going to help me meet whatever it is I'm trying to do today? You start having a perception and a mindset, and you start changing it towards these foods that scare you. I want to take all fear out of food. I want you to have peace around food in menopause so that you can lose weight, so that you can meet your health goals. And maybe some of your health goals, you're going to find that these foods can't be included. I want you to be okay with that too, with no drama. When you take the drama out of food, you can almost take any food out of your diet and be okay with it without your brain going crazy or you, quote unquote, going cray-cray. Because sometimes food does that to us. So if you're interested in what I'm talking about, it's like, I know I've talked a lot to you about how to eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. And I will include that in this master series. But what we're going to concentrate on more is I want to help you create a perception in your brain, a belief system that you can eat whatever you want. It's just that just because you think that doesn't mean you're going to be eating till Timbuktu. And I think many of you think that's what would happen. Oh my God, if I let the lock off, I would go cray-cray. But you actually are going to go more cray-cray when you think you can't have it and it's bad for you and your brain's going, but I love it. Potato chips now have a special place. They stay in my house and I don't think about them. I can look at them. I don't have to eat them. They don't create any drama anymore. And when I eat them, I can enjoy them and I can stop. I want the same thing for you. I want to help you create peace with food in menopause. All you have to do is go to drdebbutler.com/joy, Joy. We're talking about joy foods, foods that have no nutritious value, but you like them and you want to eat them bite by bite and stop the minute that you're done. There is a way to do that. I want to teach it to you. So go to drdebbutler.com/joy and you can sign up for this class, which is free. And let me talk about free, because I hear a lot of people about going, oh, yeah, it's free. That's because there's something really, it's not really free. But I'm telling you that this is really free. And you don't have to buy anything else to get this concept that I want to teach you in these 2 days. But I will tell you this, I am creating another series, another inexpensive series that I'm going to talk about in this class that you may or may not want to do. But this 2-part series is free, and it's all about how to believe that you can eat whatever you want without going cray-cray. So, as I end this podcast, you know what I'm going to say. It's so important, more important than ever. No matter where you go or who you're with or what you're doing, please, please, please be kind to yourself. Nothing else matters more than that. Please be kind to yourself, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye. If you're loving my podcast and you would like some more information to be able to follow along with, then please go to drdebbutler.com/change, and you can get a free copy of my companion book that goes with this podcast that I refer to in many different episodes. That is drdebbutler.com/change, CHANGE.